What kind of man hides behind a palace worth over 150 million euros, a fleet of yachts the size of small kingdoms, and private jets that glitter like flying penthouses, yet almost nobody has ever heard his voice? They call him Zeus of Monaco. To the world, he's the symbol of ultimate wealth and luxury. But to those who have tried to understand him, he's something far stranger. A man who has turned silence into power and mystery into a weapon. Because while most billionaires fight for attention, Zeus became famous for the exact opposite, staying invisible. And the deeper you look into his life, the more impossible it seems. Before Zeus of Monaco became the figure whispered about in billionaire circles, he was almost the opposite of everything he represents today. No yachts, no penthouses, no private jets slicing through the skies. Instead, he was born into a quiet, almost invisible life in a small European town where hard work mattered more than wealth, and values were measured not in euros, but in effort. His parents weren't powerful investors or celebrities. They were ordinary people with extraordinary discipline. They believed in old-world principles, early mornings, long hours, and the unshakable belief that dreams only become reality through persistence. And from the beginning, they planted those seeds in their son. But there was something different about him. While other kids were outside playing, he was watching, always observing, always curious. He studied the way shopkeepers bargained with customers, the way a neighbor made small profits from real estate, the way risk and reward seemed to dance together in unpredictable patterns. To most, these were just everyday events. To him, they were puzzles, blueprints of a bigger world he wanted to enter. By his teenage years, Zeus was already restless. He consumed books on business and finance the way most kids consumed comic books. Instead of posters of athletes or musicians, his room was stacked with notes about global markets, companies, and the stories of the wealthiest men in history. He wasn't fascinated by fame or glamour. What pulled him in was the hidden architecture of power, how a single decision, invisible to most, could ripple across the world and create empires. Family members would later recall that he asked strange questions at family dinners. While others debated politics or school, he quietly asked, if someone invested €1 today, how could it turn into 1,000 in the future? Nobody had an answer, but he wasn't looking for one. He was already searching for it himself. And when he turned 20, he found his chance. The world was stepping into the digital revolution. Technology companies were exploding out of nowhere, some failing overnight, others rewriting the future. Most people were too afraid to touch it, but Zeus was different. He understood that risk and opportunity were two sides of the same coin. He scraped together everything he had and placed it all on a small, unproven tech company. To his family and friends, it looked reckless, borderline foolish, but he wasn't guessing. He had studied trends, tracked the movement of capital, and calculated that the digital wave would not just rise, it would consume everything. And he was right. That one decision multiplied his fortune almost overnight. It was the spark that set fire to everything else. From there, he didn't stop. Real estate, luxury brands, even art. He spread his reach carefully but aggressively. Every move was calculated, every risk weighed. While others celebrated their first big paycheck, he was already thinking 10 steps ahead. But here's where the story takes a strange turn. Unlike other rising millionaires who rushed to show off their wealth, Zeus stayed quiet. No headlines, no magazine interviews, no flashy displays. He lived like a shadow, moving pieces in silence. People began to whisper that he had no interest in fame, only control. And that's when his life of mystery truly began. Because as his fortune grew, so did the one thing money couldn't buy: secrecy. That first leap into technology wasn't just a lucky guess. It was the moment that defined Zeus's entire approach to life. Most investors dipped their toes in cautiously, waiting to see results before committing. Zeus, he dove in head first. He knew hesitation kills opportunity, and the digital revolution would not wait for anyone. Within months, his investment multiplied. The company he believed in, once dismissed as a gamble, exploded in value. Overnight, Zeus went from an unknown young man with ambitious dreams to someone who had tasted the power of exponential exponential growth. And that taste was intoxicating. But what really set him apart wasn't the win itself, it was what he did next. Instead of flaunting his success, instead of buying flashy cars or drawing attention, he went silent, completely silent. No one outside his circle even knew how much he made. While others bragged about their new riches, he was already searching for the next move. That silence became his weapon. He reinvested carefully into real estate, where he quietly picked up properties others overlooked, into luxury brands, where he predicted global wealth would only keep growing, into fine art, where the true value was hidden beneath layers of culture and secrecy. He wasn't just building wealth, he was building walls around himself. The media eventually caught wind of his sudden rise. Rumors spread. Who was this young investor making million-euro moves in silence? But by then, Zeus had already mastered the art of disappearing. Even as his fortune multiplied, his public presence shrank. And soon, the whispers began. Where is he spending it? How is he living? Why doesn't he appear like the others? The answer would reveal itself soon enough. In the heart of Monaco, inside a fortress that seemed less like a home and more like a kingdom. In Monaco, luxury is common. The streets are lined with supercars, the harbor glitters with yachts, and penthouses scrape the sky. But even in a city built for the wealthy, Zeus's residence stands apart. His estate doesn't just sit on the landscape, it dominates it. Perched high on a hill, his mansion peers over the Mediterranean like a watchful guardian. From a distance, it could be mistaken for a royal palace. Sprawling gardens, centuries-old trees, terraces carved into the hillside. But up close, it's even more breathtaking. Every detail is designed to blur the line between extravagance and secrecy. Inside, the architecture is a careful mix of old-world elegance and cutting-edge technology. Crystal chandeliers glow against walls inlaid with gold. Antique furniture sits beside custom-built pieces designed only for him. Even the smallest details, door handles, stair rails, table edges, are decorated with rare finishes. Nothing is random, nothing is ordinary. And then there's the rooftop. Hidden from street view, it holds a pool that looks less like a swimming area and more like a shimmering oasis suspended above the city. It's here, insiders say, where Zeus hosts his most exclusive gatherings. No invitations are ever sent. No guest lists are ever published. Guests are summoned privately, and what happens inside those parties never reaches the press. Neighbors whisper of nights where lights glow from the rooftop until dawn, music echoing faintly through the hills. And yet, Zeus himself is rarely seen. When he does appear, he often says little. Some describe his presence as ghostly there, but untouchable. But the fortress is more than a place to live. It's a launch pad. Hidden within its walls are advanced security systems, underground passages, and private terminals leading to places the public will never see. From here, Zeus doesn't just live, he disappears. And when he vanishes, he doesn't vanish into thin air. He vanishes into something far grander, floating kingdoms that roam the oceans. For most billionaires, a yacht is a status symbol. For Zeus of Monaco, it's something else entirely. It's his escape, his weapon of invisibility, his moving fortress on the water. And unlike the ordinary multi-million-dollar toys you see docked in Monte Carlo's harbor, his fleet is in a league of its own. Insiders claim his collection ranges from $90 million, marvels of engineering, to floating palaces worth well over $150 million each. These aren't boats, they're kingdoms disguised as ships. Step aboard, and you enter a world of velvet-lined cinemas, opulent dining halls, big enough to host royalty, spas that rival five-star resorts, and suites designed for the kind of comfort most people will never even imagine. But here's the secret. It's not just about what's inside, it's about where they go. Zeus doesn't sail like ordinary men. His voyages are plotted with precision, hidden from the world. Crews speak of secret itineraries, coded communications, and destinations erased from official logs. He drifts into private coves, hidden bays, and forgotten harbors, places so remote they don't even show up on tourist maps. One story has become legend. A fisherman claimed he once spotted one of Zeus's yachts anchored in a desolate bay at sunrise. The ship was so massive, the man said, it looked bigger than a country. No photos were ever taken, no coordinates revealed, just a fleeting glimpse of something almost too grand to exist. And then, just like that, it was gone. This is the genius of Zeus's water empire. While the world talks about his wealth, nobody truly knows where he is. His yachts aren't just floating palaces, they're vanishing acts. But as powerful as his dominion over the sea is, it pales compared to what waits above the clouds. If the ocean is Zeus's playground, the sky is his throne. His private jets aren't mere transport, they're airborne masterpieces worth more than entire neighborhoods. Among them, one stands out, a Gulfstream G650, valued at over $55 million. But with Zeus, the price tag is only the beginning. Step inside, and you don't find the sterile interiors of a typical jet. You find gold-trimmed accents, hand-stitched leather seats, and panoramic windows that transform each flight into a moving observatory. Private bedrooms allow him to vanish mid-flight. Dining rooms offer gourmet meals prepared by onboard chefs, and entertainment systems rival the most advanced theaters on land. Passengers say it feels less like a jet and more like a penthouse floating through the clouds. And the jets are only part of the story. Zeus also commands a fleet of helicopters, each one modified for stealth and comfort. They lift him directly from private terminals or hidden pads on his properties, bypassing airports entirely. No paparazzi, no interruptions. In a matter of minutes, he can disappear from Monaco and reappear on a yacht, at a villa, or inside another country altogether. But here's where the mystery deepens. Crew members whisper that Zeus hardly ever speaks during these journeys. He gives no long instructions, no idle conversation. Instead, he communicates in short gestures, sometimes even in what they call coded signals. Some claim he prefers written notes, burned or destroyed once read. To outsiders, it sounds like myth. To those who have seen it, it feels like strategy. Silence in the sky isn't just a habit, it's a shield. And together, the yachts on the water and the jets in the air form something greater than luxury. They form a private empire, where Zeus moves like a ghost, untouchable, untraceable, unstoppable. But what waits for him back on the ground is something even more personal, even more obsessive. A garage that looks less like storage and more like a temple of speed. If Zeus rules the seas with his yachts and the skies with his jets, then on land he commands something even more personal. A collection of cars so rare and so meticulously kept that it feels less like a garage and more like a shrine to speed. It's no ordinary fleet of supercars lined up for show. His private garage is a gallery of mechanical art: Bugatti Chirons, Ferrari LaFerraris, Lamborghini Aventadors, each one valued in the millions. But even among billionaires, those are predictable. What sets Zeus apart are the machines that don't exist anywhere else. Custom commissions, one-of-a-kind prototypes, vehicles designed exclusively for him, cars so rare that even automotive museums can't get access. Engineers have whispered that some models were designed with features so secretive, even their blueprints were destroyed after completion. Each one reflects not just wealth, but absolute control. Step inside his garage, and you wouldn't think you're in a parking space. You'd think you're in a museum. The floors are polished marble, the lighting adjusted to highlight every curve of the vehicles. The temperature is monitored like a laboratory to keep leather and paint in perfect condition. Nothing is accidental. Every car stands like a relic, preserved not just to drive, but to be admired in silence. And yet, Zeus doesn't keep them locked away forever. Occasionally, locals claim to have seen him glide through the streets of Monaco in one of these machines, not racing, not revving the engine, not drawing attention, just moving quietly, almost like a ghost passing through traffic. Witnesses say there's something unsettling about it. No horns, no noise, just the silent roar of wealth being driven by someone who never needs to prove it. One story tells of him waiting at a red light in a white supercar, not speaking, not even glancing at those around him. When the light turned green, he eased forward without a sound, as if the world around him didn't exist. People who saw it said it felt less like seeing a billionaire on a joyride, and more like witnessing a ritual. For Zeus, the garage isn't just about speed, it's about presence. The cars are his armor, his tools of expression, and yet he never has to say a word. And that silence, the silence that follows him everywhere, has become his most powerful trademark. For all the mansions, yachts, jets, and cars, perhaps the strangest part of Zeus's legend is this: almost nobody has ever heard him talk. In a world where billionaires rush to book interviews, attend conferences, and plaster their names across headlines, Zeus does the opposite. He refuses the spotlight, he avoids microphones, and when he does appear, his words are so scarce that they only add to his mystery. At high society gatherings, while others dominate the conversation, Zeus is often seen standing quietly in the background. Those who've been close enough say he communicates more with a glance than with a speech. A nod, a faint smile, or even complete stillness, that's all it takes. It's as if every gesture is calculated, every silence deliberate. One famous story involves a journalist who managed to approach him at an exclusive Monaco event. The question was simple: what's the secret to your success? For a moment, Zeus looked at him. Then he gave a small, almost imperceptible smile, nodded once, and walked away. No words, nothing more. That tiny exchange became legendary, retold countless times in elite circles. To some, it was arrogance. To others, it was genius. Because in a world drowning in noise, Zeus proved that silence can be louder than anything. Even in business, his strategy mirrors his personal life. He lets his investments, his moves, his wealth speak for him. Deals close without fanfare, empires grow without headlines, and fortunes expand without announcements. It's as if he's allergic to attention, and yet the lack of it only makes him more fascinating. Some say it's a form of control. By refusing to explain himself, he never gives anyone the power to predict him. Others believe it's his shield protection from a world desperate to dissect and destroy anyone who reveals too much. Whatever the truth is, the result is undeniable. His silence has made him untouchable. It has turned him from a man into a myth. And myths don't need interviews. They need legends. Over the years, the silence surrounding Zeus has created something rare. Not just wealth, not just fame, but legend. Where most billionaires are dissected by the media, photographed endlessly, and stripped of privacy, Zeus has gone the opposite direction. He became bigger by disappearing, and in that absence, stories filled the void. One tale speaks of a secret midnight party aboard one of his mega yachts. No invitations were sent, only whispered instructions to a select few. By the time the guests arrived, the yacht was anchored in a remote bay under a full moon. Inside, film stars, sports icons, and European royalty mingled freely, shielded from the outside world. And yet, Zeus himself barely appeared. He stepped out only once, revealing a rare piece of art to his guests before vanishing into a private wing. The party raged on without him, but his absence was more powerful than any speech could have been. Another rumor describes a winter journey to the Alps. Locals claim to see a ghostly white supercar slicing through mountain roads in total silence, the driver's face hidden behind tinted glass. Was it Zeus himself? No one could confirm, but the story spread like wildfire, another thread in the growing myth of a man who moves like a phantom. Over time, these stories have shaped Zeus into something almost untouchable. He's not just a billionaire anymore. He's a figure that seems to exist outside the rules, someone who rewrote the meaning of power, not through headlines, not through speeches, but through an almost supernatural ability to stay hidden in plain sight. And the strangest part? The less we see, the more people want to know. Because in the world of Zeus, the real wealth isn't the yachts or the jets, it's the mystery itself. In a society obsessed with attention, where every wealthy figure competes to show more, own more, and shout louder, Zeus of Monaco chose the opposite path. And it worked. His fortress in Monaco, his floating kingdoms at sea, his penthouses in the sky, his garage of dreams, yes, they are symbols of unimaginable wealth. But they're also smoke and mirrors, distractions from the one truth that defines him. Zeus doesn't need to be seen, he doesn't need to be heard. His silence is his greatest weapon. Think about it. When most billionaires speak, their words are dissected, criticized, and forgotten within days. But when Zeus stays silent, every gesture, every rumor, every rare appearance becomes magnified into legend. In the end, he's not just living in luxury, he's turned himself into a myth. And maybe that's the secret the world keeps missing. That the ultimate form of power isn't shouting the loudest, it's making people listen even when you say nothing at all.